lot of people think that somebody at home should speak the language, but it's actually not necessary. A lot of the programs, actually all the programs, are geared towards students who don't have any language background in their home. So it's actually, it supports kids who have nothing, which means that they're going to get the type of homework that they should technically do on their own without any parent support. So it doesn't really affect their language learning skills to have somebody at home. It helps, obviously, to be able to speak to somebody or to ask questions, but it shouldn't affect their overall learning of a second language. Well, as a parent who doesn't speak the language, it's actually a really good idea to just actually read them in English, have them exposed to English newspapers, comics, magazines, anything that having to do with the language, even if it is English. The other thing is to be supportive when things get, because things are going to get hard. Things eventually, or a child could have a moment of frustration. And it's really important for the parent to be supportive. That's actually probably one of the key aspects, because the more supported the child feels, the more confident they feel. And it is frustrating to learn a second language sometimes because things become difficult, or there's certain contexts or things that you're not sure about, you're not quite sure how to get through them. So sometimes just saying, you know what, you can do this, and yeah, it's going to be hard today, but think of all the rewards you're going to have at the end. That type of positive reinforcement actually is far more helpful than actually just speaking the language, because oftentimes what happens is if parents do know the language, they tend to give the answers instead of having the kids work through those problems and finding the answers on their own, which is ultimately going to be what's going to get them through the program from grade 1 to grade 12.
You know, they don't really need to speak the language. The parents are the cheerleaders, they're the fans on the sideline. They support their children by encouraging them, by being that moral support, by showing interest in their learning. They really don't need to be able to speak the language at all. And it's kind of in the same way like learning to play the piano or playing a sport. The parent can encourage them in soccer, they can encourage them with their piano lessons, but they really don't have to have that ability to be supportive.
For parents who do not speak the target language that your children are learning, please do not over-worry. To support your children, there's little difference from supporting them in learning other subjects. You probably have established daily routines to ensure that your children have a balanced diet and sufficient rest. You could ask them what they have been learning at school. Be specific. For instance, what stories are you reading during language arts lesson? What project are you working on in social studies? What unit are you studying in mathematics? What did you learn from the science field trip? You could probably cooperate with teachers by checking school and class newsletters, agenda, and homework regularly. Be prepared to share learning strategies and help your children develop good study habits. You could encourage your children to participate in cultural activities of the country where the target language is spoken. Your children's school and the target language community usually have many activities throughout the year. This could enhance their understanding of the language and the culture. To learn a second language is a journey with many milestones. Celebrate with your children as they progress from one to another. Regular encouragement helps your children to build the self-confidence. Students with positive self-esteem tend to be more motivated and willing to attempt what seems to be challenging tasks.
For instance, they could buy books, second language books. They could go to public libraries and find some suitable books. Parents can take children to heritage days, expose them to second language, or to places where they could practice second language, like community events and so on. Another thing parents can do is help them with their first language, have some kind of a routine, make them do their homework on time, provide a certain space in their house, where the children can read and write in a quiet area, and help them by helping them with the first language, and the skills will transfer to second language.
And certainly we encourage the parents to come speak with the teachers if you have any concerns. expose the children as much as you possibly can to a variety of things, whether that be cultural events that are happening throughout Sherwood Park or in the city. Going onto the internet, looking things up, and not being afraid to explore the new language and realizing that mistakes are part of the learning.